off the bat, I have to say that I rather enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Hollywood's a nutty place. So the fact the film was a bit weird made a lot of sense. Plus, it's Tarantino, so it's even weirder. It is. I don't love a lot of Tarantino films, as I said. I think I've said it many times on this channel. He's not my very favourite director of all time. He's probably... Well, I don't like him. I don't like the way he produces films. I don't like the way he shoots them normally. I don't like the style he has, the tone he goes for. It's not for me. I don't like that type of gratuitous violence most of the time. This time, it didn't really have that. And because of that, I rather liked the film. While it's not my favourite film of the year, it's probably in my 10 favourite films of the year, and that's never happened with a Tarantino film before. Before this, I mean, I'd say my favourite film of his is still Pulp Fiction. For me, it's the best one out of all of his films. This is probably second, though, because, as I said, the other films are just way too much for me. I can't handle it. I can't hack it. And he did something, I think, very clever called subversion with this film. And he made us anticipate for so long throughout it. If you don't know, this is a bit spoilery, but not super spoilery. So if it's spoilery, then click off now. Thank you for coming. If not, then carry on. If you don't care. The film was not super violent until like the last 15 minutes. It was a 2.5 hour film. And 2 hours and 15 minutes of it was like no violence of any severe kind. And because of that, I checked my watch about 4 times throughout the film. Not my watch, my sister's watch. I don't wear a watch. I'm a pleb. I checked the time multiple times throughout the film. Because as it went on, I was like, hang on. There's only an hour and a half left. When's the violence going to come? Wait, there you are. There's only 50 minutes left. And when it came to that last hour, I kept on checking because I was like, it said 18, strong violence and blood and all this other stuff. I said to myself, this ain't right. Something's off. And he made you wait for the violence. It was so clever. It was different to anything I've seen him do by creating a film and story and shooting it the way that he chose to, storyboarding wise. I think it's very clever. You know, it's not something he'd anticipated before. He'd tried before. I'm losing my grasp on the English language. It's not something he'd attempted. There we go. Attempted's the word. That's great. You know, wow. It's not something he'd attempted before, and I think this incredible subversion of what you thought was going to happen. Because sometimes Tarantino films just start off with just absolute raucous. This time it wasn't like that, and it gave a view of Hollywood in the time of, you know, well, Sharon Tate was like it was Polanski, and they had Polanski involved in this. I think that, you know, most people will have problems with this film overall. It was not for everyone, as every Tarantino film, it's not for everyone. But this one is for me. The fighting and the way that it was done with Pitt and DiCaprio, I actually enjoyed it this time round. And that hasn't happened in any Tarantino film. Even when I watch Pulp Fiction, I'm like, oh shit, what's going to happen here? But like, in this one, I was laughing along with it. And I had the same feeling when I watched John Wick. It was that type of feeling of, this is so nutty right now. And they made us wait so long for it that I was almost okay with the violence. I don't know. Maybe I've just grown up. Maybe I'll watch Tarantino films, rewatch them and like them now. But I doubt that. I really do. I think DiCaprio and Brad Pitt were really, really good in this film. I think Pitt stole the film for me. I think he was great. Margot Robbie was good, but she wasn't really in it that much. She didn't have that many lines, actually, even. She was physically there, and she was a presence in the film, which is hard to do when you don't have any lines. So good on her, but there wasn't really a lot of her in the film, you know? Which was a bit weird. There was Bruce Lee, which was a bit nutty, seeing Bruce Lee in it. I mean, I don't really know if he would have lost that fight in real life, but it's a fantasy world. It's Tarantino's mind, so maybe Bruce Lee would have lost, maybe he wouldn't. I think he probably wouldn't have lost. because Pitt isn't that much bigger than Bruce Lee. You know, if it was The Big Show or Mark Henry or The Rock versus Bruce Lee, I think Bruce Lee's going to struggle just because he's half the size. Brad Pitt is not double the size of Bruce Lee, so I don't think it would work in that way. Also, Damian Lewis, man, popping up in films like this now. Crazy. I remember watching him on like British television. I mean, I love Billions now. It's like a terrific show, and he's phenomenal in it. So just seeing him pop up in this was great. I think for me, it was a good film. It's not for everyone, but I think if you don't like Tarantino films, you'll like this film. And if you like Tarantino films, you might not like this film. I don't know. It's this weird thing. Maybe this is a bit more mainstream for Tarantino in terms of how the populace will actually enjoy the film. It's not like his niche. It's a bit more widespread. I don't know if the film's going to make a lot of money though. It costs like 90 million to make. It's right now, I think, on 270 million, 280 million. So it's probably broken even at about 250. So it's made some money, but it's not really a roaring success. I don't think many of Tarantino films are super successful. Some of them are, but most of them I think just plod along and just do okay. But he has a following, he has a niche, and people will watch the films he puts out. So overall, pretty good performances. Cool story. And pretty ridiculous violence. Yeah. That's about it. That's my opinion anyway. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, then Tarantino himself will make a film about your life, and that would not be good. Not for anyone. He's a bit of a nutter. So just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been the Ranger of the Comic. You have been great. I'll see you next time. Skadoosh.